Do you have a book? Yep. Shoshanas? All right, so we started last time. I'll just get my tea and we'll close the door and get started. I think we're listening went on a little bit longer today. If I'm not mistaken, right? So you guys need a little break. Here we are. So we, of course, are studying Pirkei Avot between Pesach and Shavuot. We're still in the first chapter. But we're focusing in on those Mishnayot which have to do with relationships. For those of you who have seen my division into periods, we started off with Moshe received the Torah at Sinai, chapter 1, Mishnah 1, and handed it to Yeshua, and Yeshua to the elders. Moshe, Yeshua, and the elders, they're all in this first period of Jewish history, right? And then the elders gave it to the Nevi'im. Nevi'im, that's the second period of Jewish history. Nevi'im to the Anshe Knesset Agdala. Anshe Knesset Agdala, we jump to the third period of Jewish history. And finally, so what we have here, right, we said that at the end of the third period of the Jewish history, at the end of the Second Temple era, there was the group of pairs. The pairs, one of which was the head of the Sanhedrin, one which was the Nasi, the president, the political leader. So we have pairs of scholars. We're up to Mishnah 6. Yeshua ben Prachya and Nitai Arbeli received the tradition from them. From them, meaning from the previous pairs, Yossi and Yossi. That was the first pair was Yossi and Yossi, and the second pair now is Yoshua and Nitai.
Sugot was a name.
Zugot, exactly. Zugot, exactly. Zug is a pair. Zugot is many pairs. The last of the pairs is the most famous. What's the last of the pairs before the period of the Tanaim? You can look ahead. Hillel v'Shammai. Exactly. Okay, so we'll learn Mishnah 6. We started it last week. Was it last week?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeshua ben Pracha used to say, get yourself a teacher, acquire a companion, and give everyone the benefit of the doubt. So here, in Hebrew, it's aseh lecha rav, uknei lecha chaver, ve'dan et kol adam lecha zchut. So chaver, a friend, that's clearly interpersonal. And he says, kneh. Kneh, what's liknot? What does that mean, liknot?
Buy.
To buy. Buy yourself a friend. I used to laugh with my kids and make jokes to them, so, that they had, I giving them some pocket money so they can buy themselves a friend. Right? You buy a candy bar for oh, you have a friend. You buy that's right. You go to the friend shop and you buy a friend. But if that's to take it literally, so what does it mean aseh lecha rav? If that's to be taken literally, what does it mean then? Make for yourself a rabbi. What do you, plastilina? What do you?
Take a dama and
That's it.
Ruach HaKodesh and put them together.
Aseh lecha rav. So, but it means, I think, aseh lecha rav, it means designate. What is the translation here? Get yourself a teacher. You might have many teachers. You might have to go ahead and decide which one is your teacher, because there might be many teachers and you have to choose. Hi, Eitan. Nice to see you. Wow. I actually just had Yaakov from Sweden, lives in Susia. Maybe you don't know him. A former student here. Tall guy.
I know him.
You know him. From face. He used to be a student here a couple of years ago. He called me up last week. He said, I'm getting married. Mazal tov. Yeah, he's engaged. So he asked me to do the wedding, right? So it doesn't mean I'm his rabbi forever, but you choose your rabbis. You choose your rabbis.
When is it?
In August. Sometime in August. Yeah, not for a while.
Yeah.
You remember Yaakov?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. עשה לך רב, וקנה לך חבר. So one more thing before about עשה לך רב. You have to make yourself a rabbi. One thing is to decide, because there's so many rabbis, who are you following? Right? Ashkenazi, Sfaradi, this rabbi, the other rabbi, because, rabbis tend to disagree, tend to have machloket between each other. But also it means that, just for you to decide in your own mind is not enough. You have to create a relationship with a rabbi too. And the relation with the rabbi, how you have to speak to them, ask them a question once in a while, tell them what's going on in your life, so that now we're in an age where people don't like to have relationships. Or you don't need a rabbi, a person. You just go to Rabbi Google, Rabbi Google, Rabbi YouTube. Yeah, right. So it's not the same thing as having a personal rabbi who knows your situation, understands how to interpret the Torah and apply it properly to your situation. So that's something to invest into. Asay l'charav. There's more to be said, but I want to focus more on uknei lecha chaver. Acquire for yourself a friend. Usually we don't think of acquiring friends. Something happens, you become friends. Become friends. It's like, what do we say in modern day in the Western world? You fall in love. That's also wrong. Love, you shouldn't just fall in love by accident.
There is a point where you can say, "No, I'm falling in love." Where you say that retroactively.
Right.
There is no like the stage where it happens. It happens with time.
So I think that there is a concept is that you can create love. You can choose to fall in love. Love, of course, there's something which is magical, which is a chemistry which happens, but you choose where to enable that chemistry, and you have to usually invest if you want that love to grow, if you want that to be more than just a little spark of chemistry. So you have to invest in love, and here too, in a friend too, it's something that you have to work at to be a friend. Be a friend. Sometimes it happens automatically. You hang out with the same people for your whole life or for a few years. Usually it's during periods when there's some significant stress or some effort. You become friends either because you do sports together or you have common experiences. You become friends just because you share common experiences. Many times that's not enough. You could just see them at the football pitch and go home, and you never become friends. You smile, say hello. That's not a friend. To really make a friend, to acquire a friend, it's you have to invest. Maybe you invest in listening to them. Maybe you invest in helping them. Maybe you invest when they need help, when you need help. You help each other out. Maybe there's other things you can do to acquire a friend. What comes to mind? What do you think? Does anybody here have a friend? Yes. Not a friend that, you clicked follow. Like on Facebook. Yeah. The Facebook friend. That doesn't qualify as a friend. I don't think that's what Yehoshua ben Prachia meant in any case. I doubt he had Facebook. Exactly. I have thousands of friends. Exactly. Sometimes those friends it's nice to have someone to talk to have a social group, but to have a friend. What do you say, Benjamin, please?
Can you be a friend with a woman?
I hope you'll be a friend with your wife. You're asking about a woman who's not your wife. Right? Right, yeah, it's not. Because your wife, of course, you should be friends with your wife, I think. Yeah, more than a friend. A very deep friendship, so like we spoke about. Ahavta lereacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. The love, highest level of love that you're going to reach is with your wife. So that's a good question. Friends with a woman, someone who's not your wife. It could, you know what they say in the religious circles, it could lead to mixed dancing.
Yeah.
Mixed dancing.
Minimum.
I have one friend, 56 years.
Yeah, wow.
You talking to each other.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. As long as you're able to make sure that it doesn't have sexual connotation.
No,
And,
she's 84.
Wow. Okay.
Living in many countries in here.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's called, in Western society, it's called a platonic relationship. Right? Plato describes that this can be such a relationship which is not sexual. The problem is that our sages say to us, "Ein apotropos la'arayot." What does that mean? It means that when it comes to sexual matters, there can be no supervisor or no guarantee. An apotropos is somebody who takes care of you, who oversees you to make sure you're okay. So there can be no apotropos la'arayot. That means that you always have to be on guard. And nobody can really guarantee you that there's not going to be this sexual attraction or this element of sexual tension when you're being friends between sexes. There's a great movie, Once Upon a Time. It's called When Harry Met Sally. It's very old. You guys are too young to have heard it. But it explores this issue. Can there be such a thing as a platonic relationship? And they have an argument, these two characters that are friends. And then can they, by them it's not a question of marriage, but can they have relations and still remain friends? And that changes things. I'm not going to give away the movie in case, spoiler, right? You might, who knows. But it's very interesting, and people deal with this in the secular world where they don't have the rules of halakha. They're not following halakha. And it's quite common to have premarital sex or extramarital sex, and it changes the relationship. The sexual tension between men and women is something that's so hard to handle. But people do it. People do it. You're describing something which is, and I have friends. I wouldn't say they're my closest friends that are women, but in various periods of my life, when I went to college, we're friends. You spend a lot of time together. You become friends, even though I never touched them and they never touched me, and we didn't. It's a tricky business. It's a very tricky business. But again, I don't think you can say an absolute prohibition. What does it mean? Define what it means to be a friend.
One can make it a shield, but if in the 40 years, 56 years, she was married, she has children, they had children, says my uncle, her husband passed away.
Right.
He's my brother.
Sure. So you are close to an angel, but not everybody's an angel. And no, but of course, there's various levels. I don't want to, some people take it to the extreme nowadays, and they're not even willing to say hello to a woman. Not even talk to a woman. Even if it's just to get directions in the street. Because of this extreme separation, we shouldn't be led to any kind of sexual impropriety. And that's, I understand where it's coming from. The Talmud says there's no guarantee when it comes to sexual tension. It's there between men and women, whether you like it or not. And so we have to be very stringent upon that. On the other hand, I had a great rabbi, one of my rabbis, who he was really one of the greatest rabbis of the generation, Torah knowledge, like you wouldn't believe it. And I was near him when he was walking, and he needed directions for which way to go. And he just, when he realized he needed directions, he turned to the first person who happened to be next to him, who was a woman. And she was a little shocked at this great rabbi turning to him, but he felt there's nothing wrong as long as it's appropriate and there's nothing.
Extra talking.
Yeah, there's a story like
How
that.
are you?
Yeah, exactly. Bruria, the wise Bruria woman, once called out a Talmud scholar for a superfluous word when he turned to her asking her some technical question. So as long as it's everything depends on the context and the society. So it can be done, but it's a tricky business. It's a tricky business. K'nei lecha chaver, yes.
I can say this. I was around the world, as you know, and
The one guz?
around the world.
Around the world, yes, please, yes, around the world.
Yellow, green, Chinese.
All different kinds of
green,
societies, yeah.
And she and her family is my family.
Lovely, lovely. It can be a beautiful
But
thing.
I had a surprise for 2 years ago. Another one, good friend, blah, 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 blah. No things, nothing. And she wrote a letter saying, I love you all the time, but I never told you.
Wow,
But I'm going to make a heart operation.
wow, wow,
Many years.
wow.
Friends, we talk. But she never, even through eyes, there's no there. And then
Secretly, she had a feeling for you in her heart, and she never shared that with you.
no.
Wow.
But imagine if she did something. That's why you cannot.
That's the point. I think you're saying that to support the danger here is that you friends, but sometimes.
If she was a little bit more courageous.
Right? That's right. That's right. The tension between the sexes is a healthy thing. It's a good thing, but it has to be put in its right place and it has to be respected for what it is. Okay, I see that. I'm just looking at the clock, and I wanted to share with you the Rambam. Many of you know the Rambam. What's his famous book? Please, Mishneh Torah. He wrote another book, another few books. Moreh Nevuchim, but then another book. Another book. This is Shmona Prukim is part of a larger book. Which book is it part of? Exactly. So the Rambam's first book that he wrote was his commentary on the Mishnah.
Which book you say?
Commentary on the Mishnah. Which did he say? I'm not sure. So this is his commentary on our Mishnah. You can see our Mishnah at the top of it. Yeah? Yeshua ben Prachya and Nitay Rebbe received the oral tradition from them. Yeshua ben Prachya used to say, appoint for themselves a teacher and acquire for themselves a companion. So we don't have so much time. So let's read just the middle section. Where does the Rambam interpret? Well, you know what? Let's start from the beginning. Make for yourself a mentor. He means to say, everybody got one? That even if he's not fit to be your mentor, still place him upon you as a mentor so that he can give and take with him. Discuss and argue with him. As a result of this, the study of wisdom will come to your hand. So the Rambam is saying, maybe even your chavruta, your partner in the Machon Meir English department. He's not your rabbi, but make him to be like your rabbi. Why? So that you can discuss things with him. You'll appreciate, you'll be able to learn better if you have somebody that you bounce your ideas off. As the study of a man on his own is good, but his study from someone else will be better established in his hand and it will become more clear. And even if he is like him in wisdom or below him, wow, doesn't even have to be somebody who's actually a rabbi, who's actually wiser than you. Make for yourself a mentor. He seems to be talking about making yourself a chavruta. That's the Rambam's interpretation. As I said, other people interpret. You have to actually decide who's your rabbi. Next, and he said, acquire for yourself a friend. He said it with an expression of acquisition, acquire. Did not say make yourself a friend or befriend others. The intention of this is that a person must acquire a friend for himself, so that all of his deeds and all of his matters be refined through him. This is an investment. It's worthwhile for you, because if you have a good friend, everything you do will be better. As they said, O chavruta o mituta, either a friend or death. That's the Aramaic. O chavruta o mituta, either a friend or death. It doesn't mean like we say chavruta, a study partner. It means a friend. A friend or death. Very, very, meaning it's so worth it. Invest everything you can to have a friend. I'd rather be dead to not have a friend. You must have a friend. If he does not find him, he must make efforts for it with all his heart. And even if you must lead him to his friendship until he becomes a friend, sometimes you have to seduce someone to be your friend. Convince him. Like I said, I give my kid allowance so he can buy a candy bar for his friends, so he'll have friends. And then he must never let off from following his friend's will until his friendship is firmed up. You have to follow through and be consistent. It is, as the master of ethics say, when you love, do not love according to your traits, but love according to the trait of your friend. Meaning, I was joking before, you buy him a candy bar and he'll be your friend. How do you convince people to be your friends? Why do friends like you? When you do things for them, you do things that are nice for them. Not things that you think are nice, things that they think are nice. Yeah. You have to try to figure out what would make him happy. What would make him happy? So you see you're investing, you're giving to them. They feel your love. And when each of the friends has the intention to fulfill the will of his friend, the intention of both of them will be one without a doubt. So, it's a tricky thing, something to remember when you're giving gifts. There are good gift givers and there are bad gift givers.
Yes.
Try to think of what the other person would want. Yes?
Like I said, we learned with Rav Brockman in the morning classes, Contrast of Chesed, which in this book, what's it called, Rav Esma? Yeah, and it speaks about like when you give somebody, that makes you love them. It's not like that the love is there already, but rather you give and then you love the person. So in this context of the Rambam, if you acquire a friend, you give him something, it makes you like him more.
Exactly.
And that makes your face like, for example, you like him more, you smile, you see him. And then he sees you, he smiles back. Like this is how I think.
That's right. That's right. It shouldn't be seen so much as a buying, a purchase by trying to buy him off with the best possible gifts. But there's beautiful interpretation. Rav Dessler says that when you give, you love more.
It's like you're investing because you
Right.
get return after that.
Yeah, but you're not thinking about it. You shouldn't be thinking about it. Here, according to this, how can you not be thinking about it? The Mishnah says, Rabbi Yeshua says, Yeshua ben Prachya says, you should acquire a friend. It means you should invest in order to have that friend. But the way to do that is to be giving to your friend. Be giving to your friend, and then you could say it's the oil of the wheels of the friendship, the giving. And if you're giving, I always say to people who get married that they're looking at it wrong. If you make a calculation, you say on one side of the chart is, okay, she has a car, she has a good job, her father's rich, she's pretty, so I'm going to get XYZ. And then, so you're setting yourself up for failure.
So it's good things to give.
That's right. That's it. What you should be looking at is, obviously you need a connection to this person, because this is the person that you're going to be looking to give to. How can I give to them? Can I help them? Can I be their friend? Can I support them? Can I be sensitive to them? Can I understand them? Of course, you want to be understood as well, but it's not merely a question of a business deal. What am I going to get out of the business deal? Okay, so if I'm going to get, then I'm going to give. That's a mistake. Okay. Anyways, now the Rambam was famous for many things, but also for being a big fan of the philosopher Aristotle. You read the beginning of his book, where he talks about the fundamentals of faith. He gets a lot into philosophy and into astrology. It's all based on Aristotle's philosophy. He was a big, big fan of Aristotle's philosophy. So much so that some Jewish people felt uncomfortable with it. So what does he bring us this philosophy? We got to learn Torah. Of course, his greatest love was Torah, and he was one of the greatest scholars ever of Judaism. But he was also a fan of Aristotle. In this case, he quotes, how good is the statement of Aristotle? The friend is one. The friend is one. What does that mean? It's almost, I think what he's trying to say is that if you have a good friend, you have a bond, and it's like you're one person. So you're really connected. And then he goes into the following analysis. There are 3 types of friends. That's why I thought this would be a nice elaboration upon the Mishnah. There are 3 types of friends. I'm not a big expert on philosophy, but it sounds to me like he's taking this from Aristotle's works. If somebody knows better than me, by all means, let me know that this is a Rambam plagiarizing Aristotle. He quotes him, so it's not a plagiarism, but this is the analysis. There's 3 types of friends: a friend for benefit, a friend for enjoyment, and a friend for virtue. Okay, what does this mean? Indeed, a friend for benefit is like the friendship of 2 business partners, and the friendship of a king and his retinue. Okay, so this is the first type of friend. Friend for benefit. It's you need a partner to play tennis with. If you don't have a partner, it's very hard to play tennis. Right?
You can hit the wall.
You could, but it's not the same. Yeah, I've tried it, believe me. Yes.
Like a regular friend is also a benefit, because if you want to move, you can ask your friends to.
Sure, that's one level. That's right. And by the way, I don't think it has to be either or. You have elements of all types of a friendship that has many types of relationships in it. Some of it, of course, there's benefit. That's not wrong. It's not the only aspect of the friendship. As we're going to see, there's other aspects. But sure, friends for benefit is one type of... you need to have partners for business, too. A king needs his retinue, meaning his aides and so forth. So that's one type. The second type is, whereas the friendship for enjoyment is of 2 types. A friend for pleasure and a friend for confidence. What does it mean? Indeed, the friend for pleasure is like the friendship of males and females, and similar to it. So there's basically tangible pleasure that you give each other. Whereas the friend for confidence is a man who has a friend to whom he can confide his soul. That's also pleasure. Not so much in giving, but in having someone that you can talk to. It's not physical pleasure, but it's psychological pleasure. Psychological pleasure. You have someone to speak your mind with. He will not keep anything from him, not in action and not in speech. You share everything. He will make him know all of his affairs. You tell him everything that's going on, the good ones and the disgraceful. I really had a fail today. I really messed up. You're not afraid to tell that to your friend because you're not trying to impress him. He's your friend. So you can share with him things that are on your mind. I had a great success today in Shir. I knew the right answers always. I was the first guy. You can also say, "Oh, it was so embarrassing. I said the wrong thing." So you can share with your friend without fearing from him any loss that will come to him from all of this, not from him and not from another. As when a person has such a level of confidence in a man, he finds great enjoyment in his words and his great friendship. So this is a friend not just for benefit, which is more like business partners, but for enjoyment. The enjoyment is of 2 kinds. Enjoyment, physical enjoyment, of course, of sexual relationship, but also psychological enjoyment. That you have somebody to talk to confide in, and to share with. And he finds great enjoyment in his words and his great friendship. It's a very, very great joy to have such a friend. And the third type, so this is all the 2 types so far, and the third type is a friend for virtue. What's that? A friend for virtue, let's read. He says, is when of the desire of both of them And their intention is for one thing, and that is the good. Each one wants to be helped by his friend in reaching this good for both of them together. And this, sounds like the third type, is the friend which he is commanded to acquire. It's like the love of the master for the student and the student for the master. In other words, so this is a very interesting definition here as of, about a Rabbi and a student. They have a common goal. You have a common virtue, he calls it, a common value that you want to accomplish together. Rav Soloveitchik, in one of his essays, he points out that in the Torah, the very beginning, when the creation story about man and woman, man is commanded, and only then is woman created. We don't have time to see it inside, but he says that this is the reason. It's because for there to be a healthy relationship, the type of healthy relationship you're supposed to have between a husband and wife, it's not only about the two of you. It's about the two of you with a common goal. You have to have and then you're going to help each other accomplish this goal. Maybe one day one will be the master, the other one will be the student, maybe the next day it'll be the opposite. But you both want to reach the goal together. And that's a friend for virtue, friend for a common goal. And as I was saying, Eitan, I don't think it's one or the other. I mean, the best type of friendships, maybe you have all three in one relationship. Of course, you have benefit because people don't know. Unfortunately, there's a lot of divorce, but people don't know. It's so expensive to be divorced. People in the ancient world, until today, a lot of reason for getting married is because it's cheaper. You share the same household. You don't have to buy 2 fridges, and you don't have to have 2 washing machines, and you don't have to have 2 apartments. You have 1. So you have extra money to spare, right? It's cheaper. So that's a friend for benefit. You have the benefit of being in this relationship. And so there, of course, any type of business venture as well. Then there's also, the next part was friend for enjoyment. It's always good to share things with others, especially good to have a confidant, somebody you can share what you're going through. And, I think they say that the women are better than men at this. Speaking to a class of men, I can say that. Women are naturally talking, naturally sharing, right? Sharing their feelings. The joke goes that I think I saw some kind of a routine. This guy was telling his wife how he went to play golf with his friend who just got divorced. And she says to him, "Oh, he just got divorced, so how's he doing?" "I don't know." and she doesn't understand. Says, "You played golf. As you were with him 5 hours, sitting in the buggy, walking, that's 5 hours." "Yeah." "We were playing golf. What? What? I'm not. He seemed fine, You put together 2 women together for 5 hours in a golf cart. They'll be spilling their guts. They know everything about each other's lives. Exactly. So there is a difference between men and women about how easy it is for us to share, but it's a good thing to share. Maybe we have to work on ourselves to learn how to share more, because it is, when you do, you feel good. When you have a chavrusa to learn, you have a chavruta. So, you can be very businesslike, come on time, study the passage, study the page of whatever it is, the text you're studying, you finish. So, okay, goodbye, have a good day, nice, But a chavruta can, maybe, and should include, don't tell anybody, a few minutes of bitul Torah. Bitul Torah means you're wasting time.
Yes.
How are you? What's going on? How are you feeling today? You're a person. You're not a robot just to study text with. You're supposed to become friends. Some level of friends. There's different levels. Anyway, so that's the friend for benefit, friend for enjoyment, and finally a friend for virtue. usually in a yeshiva when you have a chavruta, it's because you're trying to accomplish a goal. You're trying to work on yourself, to understand the Torah, if not to improve your midot. And so there's this common goal as well. So this is beautiful. The description. It's not one or the other. Usually they all go together, but you should pay attention. Pay attention when you take a look at your friendships and your life, and which ones of them are purely for benefit, which ones are you in there for enjoyment of various types, and which ones do you really have a common value system, a common goal, and you can help each other in your avodat Hashem. There were Hasidic rabbis that in the last generation, who the Piasetzner Rebbe is famous for it. He wanted people to gather together and create groups not to study text together, but groups to share with each other and to spur each other on in their spiritual growth. And people would get together, and people do that. There's a rabbi, a neighbor of mine, who's encouraging people to do that today. My son has been part of such a group where they gather together, and there's a way to do it. Every time they focus on one, there's 5 guys. One guy gets to talk about what he's dealing with, and everybody gives him suggestions. You could do this, you could do that. But they listen to him first, of course, and they try to understand what he's going through. It's a wonderful thing. It doesn't have to be a group of 5. It could be just 2 people. But you got to make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing. You know what you're doing, that it's not just a business relationship. But it's more than that. He says to confide his soul. We have to stop here for lunch, but there's more to the Mishnah. Maybe next time we'll continue and do the last part of the Mishnah. Beautiful Rambam, trying to help us understand what it means to have a relationship.